Hey, what's up guys, Vic here with PhoneArena, and today we have the brand new Xiaomi 13 Ultra and it's time to find out if that camera is really all that good. And we're starting this camera comparison right now with the front camera. It's recording in 1080p and it's looking good in the viewfinder. But what about the main camera, the selfies, the zoom? What about that main 1-inch sensor? We're about to find out very soon, so let's get going. But first, let's start with the sheer size of this new Xiaomi camera system. It's just massive compared to the iPhone and the Galaxy, and you can feel how it also changes the balance of the phone. And the camera app on the Xiaomi definitely takes inspiration from the iPhone with that dial, which makes it easier to just use it with one hand. And on all three phones you have quick toggles to switch between the different lenses. On the Xiaomi you have an extremely wide 0.5x shooter, then you've got the 1x main camera, you have 2x sensor crop just like the iPhone, and then you have an optical 3.2 times zoom camera, and then again a second, even longer 5 times zoom periscope lens. And if you want, you can go all the way to 120 times zoom. Just be warned that the quality beyond 60x is just not usable at all. So I guess Xiaomi just wanted to brag that it can zoom further than the Galaxy, but yeah, the quality is really bad at those extreme ranges. Oh, and that main camera, it can switch between f1.9 and f4.0 aperture, and you can literally see how it changes. And at the wider f1.9 you get that really nice natural bokeh that you just don't get on other phones. So the moment you first start the camera app, Xiaomi asks you to pick between two photographic styles. The default one is the Leica Vibrant style, and you also have the Leica Authentic. Here's the difference, and you get these slightly cooler film-like colors with the authentic mode, but unfortunately you also get very strong vignetting, and I shot a full day with this mode and this effect just really kind of ruined most of the images. So I strongly recommend you stick with the default Leica Vibrant style, which does not have that issue. And if you're enjoying this video, consider subscribing to our channel to get our upcoming roundup of the pros and cons of each camera system coming up soon. And once you start shooting, you'll soon discover that the main camera on the Xiaomi 13 Ultra is really quite the amazing thing. Just look at this shot captured on the iPhone and the Galaxy. On the Galaxy it kind of all looks uniformly greenish, yellowish, and then on the iPhone it just looks way overexposed, and both of them have extreme amounts of sharpening. So we say that these pictures have that typical quote-unquote smartphone look. Yes, they are fine, but also kind of forgettable. And then compare this to the picture out of the Xiaomi, which has none of that over-sharpening and a really nice color rendition with beautiful contrast between the colors. I was really impressed when I saw this comparison. On a few more occasions, these Xiaomi colors really blew my mind, like the colors here. Of course, it's not every time that we have such a huge difference, but the Xiaomi can really wow you in some shots. Now, it's not perfect though, and occasionally we also had a few photos with bleak colors from the Xiaomi where the Galaxy and the iPhone performed better, but most of the time the Xiaomi had the lead. And then in low light, my oh my, does the Xiaomi blow the competition out of the water. In this first shot, the extreme sharpening on the iPhone kind of ruins the picture, and the Galaxy has a weird haze in the trees and lacks detail in the grass, while the Xiaomi just turns out picture perfect. Next, you can actually see the lamps on this shot and some of that night sky deep blue on the Xiaomi, and not much of that on the other two. Really impressive. In this dark alley, the Galaxy completely missed the focus. The iPhone produced a strange shot with colder tonalities, while the Xiaomi had a ton of detail and beautiful colors. Almost every night shot we took, the Xiaomi did better, with only very few exceptions where the Galaxy could compete. But we don't think we have seen a smartphone with such a dominant performance so far. But what about video quality? Well, no surprises here. The iPhone still has the cleanest pictures with the best color science. But the Xiaomi and Galaxy are not too far behind, with great video stabilization and a good amount of detail too. For low-light videos, the iPhone once again has the upper hand in our opinion with a cleaner picture. The Galaxy ranks second, while the Xiaomi has some slight issues and is just a bit darker than the rest, so it is last in this category. But can the Xiaomi beat the Galaxy at its own game with zooming? So starting at 3x zoom, all three phones have a similar amount of detail and all of them have a native zoom lens at that range. But because the Xiaomi has the widest aperture, you get a bit of natural background blur that you don't have on the other phones. It's a subtle thing, but you do notice it. And we also really like the color science again. Just look at that detail and the color of the greenery around the water fountain. This looks straight out of a DSLR and not a phone. And here are just a few more shots I took with the Xiaomi 13 Ultra. These photos really have character. I really like that. Now, Xiaomi is the only one among the three to also have a 5x zoom lens. Now, I like this focusing distance. It's great for taking pictures of pets, close-up detail, and in my opinion, it's far more versatile than the 10x that we have on the Galaxy. Now, of course, it's an easy win for the Xiaomi at 5x because it has that native camera. Look at the detail, and on the Galaxy and the iPhone, you see a blob. While on the Xiaomi, you can actually see that there is a girl sitting on that bench. And then look at the sign. It's impossible to read on the Samsung and iPhone, but you can read it on the Xiaomi. Alright, and finally at 10x, the Galaxy takes over with its native camera and you do get cleaner detail here. But overall, the Xiaomi has more versatility with zooming, and unless you really need that long-range zoom at 10x and further, then the Xiaomi 13 Ultra actually comes out on top. You also have portrait mode, and on the Xiaomi you have 4 different options. A 35mm documentary mode, 50mm swirly bokeh, 75mm portrait and a 90mm soft focus one, which, let me say it straight away, is just completely useless. No one wants this kind of a mess, Xiaomi, just get rid of this mode. So let's go back to 3x, which most people would be using most of the time. So at 3x or roughly 75mm mode on the Xiaomi, you get really pleasing creamy bokeh, and when you zoom in, you see that the detail is also way softer. And this actually works very well for portraits. Notice how much sharper the Galaxy is, and the iPhone goes for an even more extreme and also much brighter look. Now, I think the iPhone is a step behind the other two. That's my subjective opinion. And I will take the Xiaomi over the Galaxy here, but you let me know which one you think did better here. And here you have one more shot to see how well these phones do separating me from the background, and only the iPhone has slight issues but nothing major. So what about selfie? The Xiaomi 13 Ultra shots look quite different from the iPhone or the Galaxy because Xiaomi applies this really aggressive processing. Take a closer look here, the skin is smoother, wrinkles magically disappear. It's all in the name of beauty. But yeah, the Xiaomi definitely makes you look younger. Now, some may like this, but I honestly just prefer to get a more realistic picture, and you can go into the setting and turn off all the beauty effects to kind of get that on the Xiaomi, but we still find that the iPhone and especially the Galaxy do a way better job with the selfies most of the time. Oh, and one superpower the front camera on the Xiaomi has is that it can go super wide for those times when you have a larger group to fit in the photo, so that is nice. Now, the ultra-wide camera on the Xiaomi really lives up to the Ultra name. It captures noticeably more in the frame than the iPhone and the Galaxy, and that's because it is a 12mm lens versus 13mm on the iPhone and Galaxy, and that might sound like a small difference, but it's not. I was also really impressed with how it handled the sun in a picture. Now, it's not recommended to shoot against the sun, but with an ultra-wide lens you often have to, and you can see that on the other phones it kind of burns out. On the iPhone you also get these nasty HDR artifacts around contrasting areas, and on the Galaxy you get these weird colors around the sun, while you have none of that on the Xiaomi. The iPhone ultra-wide camera goes for these very bright ultra-wide shots, so I think most of the time this extreme look is just a bit too much, and it ends up being a battle between the Galaxy and the Xiaomi, and the Xiaomi has the advantage of far less artificial sharpening, so I would again give it the edge. In low light too, the Xiaomi comes out strong. Just look at how much more light you have in this picture. You can see a lot more in the shadows, and the brighter areas are not blown out. In the second shot, the Xiaomi is the only phone where you can see both the detail in the lamps and the tiles in the foreground. And here's a few more shots with the ultra-wide camera. On most of these, I think the Xiaomi comes out on top. So what have we learned about the Xiaomi 13 Ultra camera? On the list of pros, first we have the excellent color science, which is really impressive. Second, we have the lack of over-sharpening that is so typical for smartphones and a real problem. Third, we have the outstanding low light performance. Fourth comes just the versatility of this camera system with multiple zoom options, very wide cameras, and so on. And last but not least is something we haven't mentioned yet, which is just how fast this camera is at taking pictures in both good light and at night. On the list of cons, first comes the front camera, which has a really annoying aggressive beauty filter. Second comes the slightly worse video recording quality and the lack of a cinematic video mode, and not much else frankly. The Xiaomi 13 Ultra in many ways beats the Galaxy S23 Ultra, and it also beats the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and kind of sets a new standard for smartphone photography. Now, if you want to learn more about one other camera phone that also beats the Galaxy and the iPhone, check out this video right here. Thanks for sticking until the end. My name is Vic, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.